Bitcoin's 0.1% of the capital in the world right now. I think it's going to go to 7% of the capital.
7%?
My long-term forecast is it's going to go to 13 million over 21 years.
13 million.
13 million, but what is it 5 years from now? You're in your 4-year calculus.
You know, it's been growing 44% a year with about a 40 to 50 vol. I would think it'll move on at 40%, then click down to 35, then 30, then 25, and at some point it'll be the S&P return plus 8%, and it'll be the S&P vol plus 8%, because it's always going to be a more global, open, free capital market. When we issue a $1 billion convertible bond paying 1% interest, we're capturing a 50% premium or 50% type BTC yield on that up front, and then we capture another yield on the back end. So if what you wanted was a sort of a tax-deferred yield on your asset, or you wanted to tap into the convertible bond market, like if you wanted to borrow $1 billion for a percent,
right,
buy Bitcoin with it, hold it for 7 years, you can't do that as an individual, but MicroStrategy can do it.
What have you made? Right now, I think I just saw a headline that $1.2 billion in outflows took place out of the Bitcoin ETF. And I'm curious sort of what you think is going on with the impact of the ETF on the price of Bitcoin.
I think generally it's been a good thing, and it's created more demand. But you got to keep in mind that Bitcoin is smart, fast, strong money. So on a Saturday night, if you're worried about a missile strike, you can't teleport your $10 million apartment to Singapore, lever it up 10 to 1, and short $100 million worth of New York real estate. But you can short $100 million worth of Bitcoin by borrowing $10 million. So you have a lot of fast money traders, a lot of volatility, and that will cause and ripple into volatility in the ETFs.
Can you explain
this? That's okay.
Our next guest is a best-selling author and historian, Yuval Noah Harari. This week he has a new book out. It is titled Nexus, A Brief History of Information Networks from the Stone Age to AI, and I've been reading him all the way back to Sapiens. You've sold now 65 million books. It's a remarkable situation. But this book really takes a look at information and AI, and I want to talk about AI in terms of elections and so many other things. But really, why don't we start with its impact on the financial market, since that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
How do you think it's going to change things? And most of this book argues that actually that AI is very dangerous. Is there a possibility that, at least in the financial world, it's helpful?
It's not a question of helpful or dangerous. It's the magnitude of the change. I mean, basically, if today, how many people understand the financial system? Less than 1% of humanity, I think, would be a fair guess. So in 10 years, it could be exactly 0. I mean,
because we're not going to understand what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Yes, because AI will take over more and more of the managerial jobs in finance, and will start creating, inventing new financial devices, which are orders of magnitude more complicated than anything we know today, and it's just beyond the human capacity. I mean, finance is the ideal playing ground for AI because it's a purely informational and mathematical realm. To put a self-driving car on the road is very difficult, as we've learned in the last 10 years,
right,
because you need to interact with physical reality and social reality. But in the financial system, it's just numbers. You just tell the AI, make as many dollars as you can, and it can invent new strategies and new financial devices that people have difficulty understanding and therefore regulating.
What do you think of most of the algorithms that are working today in the markets? Mm-hmm. Because most of it is trying to predict, or at least play off of, the sentiment, right? The way everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
But you're saying that the thinking part of it is going to diminish.
On the one hand, to diminish. On the other hand, the ability of AIs to manipulate humans will increase, to manipulate our attention. And this is the key thing to understand about AI. It's not a tool in our hands. It's an agent. It's an independent agent making decisions, inventing new things, and therefore it has a potential to change every area, finance, the military, religion, in ways that we never saw before in history. We never encountered, we never created an agent. Everything we created before was just a tool.
This is a business show, but you think it's going to change religion?
Yes.
How so?
Think about a holy text that can talk back to you. I mean, humans have been dreaming about texts created by a superhuman intelligence throughout history. But all the texts that they created so far, like the Bible or the Quran or whatever, they couldn't talk back. You always needed humans to interpret them. Now you can have a text created by a superhuman intelligence that can talk back to you and that can interpret itself if you don't understand something in the text. We see the creation of a new massive class of useless people. As computers become better and better in more and more fields, there is a distinct possibility that computers will outperform us in most tasks and will make humans redundant. And then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
The easiest jobs to automate is the priesthood of at least certain religions, because you just need to repeat the same texts and gestures again and again in specific situations. Like if you have a wedding ceremony, then the priest just need to repeat the same words, and there you are, you're married. Or again, like being an accountant, at least certain types of accountants, lawyers, doctors, they are the easiest to automate. If a doctor, the only thing they do is just take information in, all kinds of results of blood tests and whatever, and they information out, they diagnose disease and they write a prescription, this will be easy to automate in the coming years and decades. At pretending to have feelings and convincing us that it has feelings, then this will become a social convention, that people will feel that their AI friend is a conscious being and therefore should be granted rights. And there is even already a legal path for how to do it. At least in the United States, you don't need to be a human being in order to be a legal person. This technology now in existence, a totalitarian government has so many ways to know who you are. The next elections in the US, for instance, in November 2024, is likely to be run to a large extent by AI. That the AI will even produce, again, the political speeches, the propaganda in the networks will no longer be produced by human beings, but by AI. And we are not prepared to how to deal with it.
But when it comes to humans versus the robots, everybody should be on the same side.
Are we behind, too far behind to catch up with the forces of this?
No, not too far behind. The power is still in our hands, but it is slipping from our hands and shifting to the AI.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting that Cash App. And guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. We got plenty of videos coming, especially after you listen to this video. This is probably one of the best videos I've done all year, because now the mainstream media is letting out the truth. Now we had Michael Saylor on CNBC. We know he's a spokesperson for Bitcoin. Instead of saying MicroStrategy, it should say Morgan Stanley. And he states Bitcoin is going to hit 13 million in 21 years. And do we care about predictions? No, we don't. We know Michael Saylor is nothing but a puppet. And do we have the hedge fund guys in Bitcoin and crypto? Of course we do. They love volatility. Remember, they make money whether it's going up or down, and so should you. And guys, we have Yuval all over the mainstream media. He has the new book telling you how smart AI is going to be. It's going to be way smarter than any human. Guys, who created AI? That's right, humanity is never smarter than you. They don't even still understand how their brain works. But remember, Mainstream media, the puppets, have to sell the sheep. But Yuval gave us some facts. Remember, guys, the devil comes in with the truth and then wiggles the lies in. And the facts he gave is that only 1% of the population actually understand the financial system. And guys, what do I tell you all the time? They keep the sheep distracted on things that don't matter. People are getting ready for the football game, guys. It's unbelievable. Free bread and free entertainment. This is nothing but Babylon. America to Babylon. Rome relives. And he states that AI will be able to manipulate humans. And yes, we can go on social media and see it for a fact. You have people arguing with the bots. And AI is going to be an agent. And that agent is going to know you better than you know yourself and eventually tell on you. And he talks about biblical text, AI being able to interpret it. And remember, guys, correct information. Information is the key because they will be able to hoard all the beautiful information and give you the garbage. And that's for the sheep. Remember, the useless people, they have a solution. The drugs and video games. We've seen this movie before. Remember, the simulation has already been ran. They're going to give you free money to sit at home because basically you're going to have demise on yourself. You're going to destroy yourself. They're going to give you enough rope to destroy yourself. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you, my people perish from the lack of knowledge because they reject it. And we see the sheep constantly rejecting the knowledge. And once we get this president, the sheep are about to be brought into reality. Remember, they cause the problem, wait for the reaction, and run in with the solution. And we know the dollar is going to lose that world reserve title. We're all going to be on a level playing field for this new digital economy. But that means we have to cut a whole lot of spending. And Americans are too spoiled in order to accept that. So we know they're going to have a reaction. And they're going to beg for the solution. And here comes that free money. But before that, we're definitely going to have a currency war. Remember, the Fed is going to be cutting rates while the emerging markets are going to be raising rates. And that money is going to start flowing inside of the emerging markets, taking value away from the dollar. But they have that solution, tokenization, turning all this debt into equity. So then therefore, they can start passing out free money. But little do the people know that money is going to be programmable, telling you what, where, and when and how to buy, and they have 3 to 6 months to spend it or poof, it's gone. And they will be headed inside the metaverse. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. And again, the NWO's goal is the 4th Industrial Revolution. And the big piece of the 4th Industrial Revolution for all this robots, algorithms, and drones to work, you need these supercomputers. And we have Chicago planning on building the fastest supercomputer. And those who understand the history of Chicago know that technology can be used for good or evil. And unfortunately, the hands that it's in, we know what this technology is going to be used for. If you look at the stock market, it's all biblical. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
That's what former President Trump has said. Something about 100% tariff on countries that leave the dollar system. I mean, there's all of these, very, very bold statements about how aggressive trade policy ought to be. And then people such as yourself in business say, but no, he doesn't mean that. He means balanced tariffs.
All right, so number one, I think balanced tariffs are brilliant, okay? Number two, these countries, dollar hegemony, the dollar living and breathing everywhere in the world is probably one of our greatest economic assets. The dollar living and breathing everywhere in the world, where everybody, oil is bought by dollars. These other countries, right, the BRICS countries, basically China and Russia trying to stitch together people. And who have they invited in? Of course they invite in Iran. I mean, imagine, they all would like to supplant the dollar. And I think the fact that Donald Trump thinks he should get ahead of that, I think every administration should get ahead of that. You let that build and you let that attack dollar in the world, you are making a fundamental mistake to the base fundamentals of the United States economy. I think it should be bipartisan. And Donald Trump is just calling out, which is obvious. If you attack America and you attack the dollar, someone needs to defend America. You can't sit there with your hands in your pockets and let the rest of the world have their way with us. At some point, you got to stand up and fight. And Donald Trump is saying it, but I think everybody should listen. I don't think he's got it at all wrong. I think he's got it absolutely right, and you should press anybody who says the contrary and say, what are you thinking about the long term of America? Don't you think this is correct?
Man, when I see what's happening in China, I just have to wonder what the long-term effect is of this insane slowdown, demographic collapse, potential currency war coming, who knows, and, oh, by the way, a deflationary impact on the rest of the world as they just start to sell more stuff cheaper, cheaper, cheaper.
Our business began in affordable housing and multifamily, so a huge portion of our business across the country is multifamily. We actually are one of the largest private owners of affordable housing in the United States. So we are very focused on multifamily. It's been our core, and we continue to build and own and do affordable housing preservation in that space. Data centers are new for us, and I think it's the most incredible asset class I've ever seen in my career in real estate.
Is there a bubble in the data center business given some of the valuations?
I mean, the question is, and we all watch the reports, for the big tech companies, what's their capital spend going to be in the following years. But this asset class is very unique for real estate. Each one of these buildings could cost $4 or $5 billion. You're talking about power numbers that we've never encountered in the real estate business. 100 megawatts, 200, up 500 megawatts. Those buildings, so what's amazing about them, power, as difficult it is to get, becomes the constraint to new developments. You don't have oversupply of these data centers, and for the most part, they're leased to one of the big hyperscale tech companies. So for us, it's been a great opportunity. You may have seen this past week, we invested in a small company, Applied Digital, who's building a very large data center in North Dakota. But we'll be building in Chicago, North Dakota, Santa Clara. So there's a couple of big data centers throughout the United States. In Chicago, the state of Illinois and the federal government committed $500 million to bring a quantum computing company to Illinois called PSI Quantum. And we will build the fastest quantum computing campus, where they will build the fastest computing computer in the world. And then a 500 megawatt data center attached to that.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology, and I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, is time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.